Jason Takes Manhattan is generally looked at as one of the worst films in the Friday the 13th franchise. But you know what? I have a bit of a soft spot for the film. I always have. I do look at it as a big disappointment overall. But I always enjoy watching it. I see little things that were good. This could have been a good film. It really, really could. This could have been a great entry in the franchise. So let's take a look at one of the most hated in the series and try and find 7 actually good things about Jason Takes Manhattan.
Hey, yeah, we're up to 3 a.m. like always.
Look, you've got to call the police.
There's a payphone in back, but it's broke.
Look, you don't understand. There is a maniac trying to kill us.
Welcome to New York.
So one of the first things is Kane Hodder as Jason. He is awesome in this. Jason is an absolute unit in this film. Look at him. He's such a unit you can hardly manage. He's an absolute beast, you know, and Kane Hodder really, really started to own this role of Jason, and it's a very, very difficult role to own because you don't get much to work with it, and all the other actors up to that point had kind of done different takes on Jason. Kane Hodder was the first one to just, you know, create a body shape, a style of movement, you know, a imposing vision of Jason. I mean, Jason isn't the problem in Jason Takes Manhattan. His presentation is great, and the Kane Hodder performance is great. He's genuinely really in your face, and probably the most aggressive and imposing Jason's been in the franchise. He's really great in the film. That brings me to the second good thing. Jason's boxing skills in this. Jason is bloody Mike Tyson. Jason is Mike Tyson if he decided to go beyond biting the ear off and decided to take the bloody head off.
Take your best shot. Motherfucker.
That is still one of the best scenes in the entire franchise, and it's in Jason Takes Manhattan. It's one of the best kills. It's one of the best unexpected moments in all of horror. You do not expect Jason to punch his blooming head off. If you're just someone who wants to watch it for gore and kills, you can get something out of the film. Now, I would say the New York scenes you do get, because the director has come out and said that Jason Takes Manhattan was supposed to be what it was advertised as, Jason Takes Manhattan. As a lot of people know about this film, it didn't turn out how they wanted it. Basically, it's essentially the first half of the film is Jason on a boat. Jason stows away, Jason climbs on a boat and just starts killing people on a boat, and then the last sort of half is in New York, but most of it was filmed in Vancouver. Only some of it was filmed in New York. And the actual plan, they couldn't get the budget for it, but the actual plan was to have Jason do all sorts. There was supposed to be a scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, there was supposed to be scenes of Jason tearing his way through department stores. He'd of course go for a rampage through Times Square, like literally taking New York by storm. You know, and a lot of the posters and a lot of the advertising for this film really got people revved up. Could have reinvigorated the franchise, and it could have been such a great entry. But they only had a few scenes in New York, and they were limited with what they could do. And that is ultimately probably the main problem with Jason Takes Manhattan. I do think this film has some pretty bland acting, and it's a little bit boring. And you can't forgive the film for that. It's disappointing and boring. But essentially, if you'd have had it be in New York, it just could have been so much better. Like, the whole film feels pretty useless in a way, but when I'm watching it, I'm like, that's good, that could be cool. I wish we got to see more of that. Like, the New York stuff we actually do get is pretty fun. It's pretty cool. There's obviously that great comedic moment that this film is also known for. There's little comedic gems in Jason Takes Manhattan which are generally known in the series, so people who write this film off entirely are forgetting some of the most memorable scenes in the series.
US still, if the crack don't get you, then the hookers will.
You a dead meat slime bag! Yo man, it's cool, man, it's cool.
And when he's on the subway, when he's chasing them through the subway, that's just bonkers stuff, and that's what you wanted in this movie. If they had been able to just elaborate on this a bit more, I really actually think the director does well in the scenes in New York. I really do get revved up in these scenes. I think they're really cool and creative and fun, and it showed the potential of this idea. Another actually good thing in Jason Takes Manhattan is the soundtrack. Yes, I will say this. This is a banging soundtrack. This is a banging 80s soundtrack. Tracks from artists such as King Lou, Metropolis, Neo A4. Never heard of any of them. God knows who they are. But you know what? These are great songs. They were some of the best songs. It was great stuff. Some of the best songs in the franchise are in Jason Takes Manhattan. And it's a really good selection of songs because they really match the tone. They're very 80s. They're very city life sort of feeling. They're, you know, very New York-esque. And they're very cool. And they just get you in a good mood, and they're very memorable, and they make the film stand out. Another actually good thing in Jason Takes Manhattan, and this is an interesting one, the boat setting, I actually think is good, but not for this movie. Like, the boat setting would have been cool if this movie was called Jason Goes to Sea, or Jason Stows Away, Cruise to Crystal Lake, I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it. But you're sitting there going, this is called Jason Takes Manhattan, and I'm wasting my time watching Jason in pretty cool scenes on a boat, but I want to see him in New York. It's like there's two films clashing against each other here, and you could have made quite a good slasher film out of Jason just on a boat. And I feel like it just takes away from actual tension that goes on that boat. I actually think the director does well. The boat is good. Obviously, those corridors and, you know, the creaky corridors and the corners that Jason can come out of, and the rainy night on the boat, and all of that stuff creates a very haunting atmosphere and quite a gritty atmosphere on this boat. The problem is that there's a lot of wild, crazy nonsense that also happens, such as when our main character Rennie sees Jason as a kid. You know, Jason was a bold kid who was deformed, but she sees Jason as a brown-haired kid, full head of hair, who's not deformed. But then in other scenes in the movie, she sees him as a bold kid who's deformed. Plus, to add to this crackers stuff, Jason is around. So what are we supposed to think? Is this kid the ghost of Jason who exists independently whilst Jason's still alive? What's going on? It almost feels like the directors were like, fuck it, we've got to do something. We've got to elaborate on this somehow. And what I don't get is you're supposed to think it's Rennie having visions of Jason, but in one scene her bloody dog sees Jason as well. So Rennie's having visions of Jason, and her dog is as well. And that all takes place on the boat, and it's just very weird. Almost felt the director was going, I've got to get people interested on the boat, so I'll just make Jason appear as a child, with adult Jason walking around like some kind of weird philosophical, existential, universe pushing boundaries, doppelganger shit. Another actually good thing in Jason Takes Manhattan is the direction and cinematography. Now this goes along with what I said about the boat, but it also applies to the New York scene. I genuinely think director Rob Hedden does a great job in Jason Takes Manhattan. He's dealing with a limited toolbox. He can't create the pandemonium he wanted to create in New York, but you know what? He creates quite an interesting atmosphere on this boat. He chooses to shoot Jason from great angles. He uses great angles, he uses great camera movements. He presents Jason really well. You know, there's a wonderful kill on the boat in the kind of disco area where Jason is stalking this girl, and it's, you know, I like the visuals, the colours, the striking imagery, and you don't know where Jason's going to come from. It's just an interesting setting for a kill. It feels very 80s, this film. Very, very neon and 80s running throughout. Obviously when we get to New York, we get some great stuff where you see Jason in great situations and you get some tension, you get some interesting shots again. You know, I take my hat off to Rob Eden. I think he did a good job. You know, he wasn't an experienced director, so for him to actually make something of this when it could have been a complete train wreck is, you know, I give him credit for that. And the last actually good thing in Jason Takes Manhattan is it actually has a very creative ending. I love this ending. I actually forgot how good it is. So Jason ends up chasing Rennie and her boyfriend down to the sewers. And this is underneath New York. I was almost expecting Ninja Turtles to turn up and fight Jason.
Awesome!
We've never seen Jason in a setting like this. I like seeing him in a new kind of setting for an ending. All we had was just the woods, the woods, the woods. This was a new setting for an ending, and it's a creative ending where Jason gets washed away by toxic waste. There are some haunting visuals in this scene. When he ends up covered in that toxic waste, he turns into a bloody horrific looking thing of evil nightmares. Normally you just get Jason just get hit with something and he'll get up or he'll open his eyes. This actually tried to give Jason a definitive end in a new way. It actually is not a cliffhanger. They literally kill Jason. They literally kill him off in an interesting way. Then they kind of ruin this ending by once again showing Jason as a kid. Bless him. This time, Jason turns into his young self like some kind of quantum leap crap. What is going on here? Turns into, and he's got hair again. Like, he's got hair again. It's Jason, I swear Jason, right? I don't know if he's time travelling, leaping into other bodies. I don't understand. Like, there's kids that exist that think they're Jason. I don't know what is going on here. But it is quite a horrifying scene to see a little child lying there after Jason's been blown away by toxic waste. I kind of like the idea, but it's not founded on anything approaching logic. I like that visual of Jason's mask floating in the sewer. I think that's great. That's one of the best visuals in the series. So Jason Takes Manhattan, ultimately, it is a big disappointment, but you know what? When you look into this film, there are some underrated elements about it. I don't think it fully works overall. But it is a film where I can watch it and find some good in it. And that's what this series is all about. What do you guys think of Jason Takes Manhattan? What do you think of my points about 7 actually good things in Jason Takes Manhattan? Do you like the film? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comments. And please subscribe if you're a movie geek just like me. I do have some other episodes of this show, 7 actually good things on the screen now. And thanks for watching everyone again. I'll see you guys next time.